Jai Hind everyone. My name is Dr. Nandita Goyal and I am working as an Associate Professor in Department of Information Technology. Today I'll be covering the topic some general identities or laws which are followed for sets. So the topics which I'll be covering in my lecture today include the laws of algebra for sets. When we'll talk about laws, we'll be discussing various laws, like the first one is idempotent law. Then we'll be discussing about the associative laws, commutative laws, distributive laws, identity laws, involution laws, complement laws and De Morgan's laws. We'll be discussing all these laws in context of sets. So, we'll be discussing all these laws for two basic operations which can be performed on sets, that is the union operation and intersection operation. And for some of the laws, we'll even be looking at the complement of sets. So, the first law is idempotent law. So, the idempotent law says that when we talk about two sets, suppose I have a set A which contains different elements and I take the union of these union of this set with itself, then I get the same set, that is my set A. So, suppose I have a set A which contains elements 1, 2 and 3. And I represent this set A in Venn diagram in the form this. So now whenever I'll take the union of this set A with itself, then I will get 8. Now A union A will give me the same elements. So this is my first part of idempotent law, which says that whenever you take the union of any set with itself, you will get the same set. Same way, if I talk about the intersection operation, wherever I have a set A and I try to take the intersection of this set A with itself, I will again get the set A. For example, here I have the set A with 3 elements 1, 2 and 3 and I want to take the intersection of A with A. So, I will again get the same elements, that is 1, 2 and 3. So, I can say that for intersection operation also, whenever I'll take the intersection of a set with itself, I will get the same set. So, this is what is known as an idempotent law. Now, coming to the next law, which is known as associative law. So, the first part of the associative law here is applicable for the union operation. So, as we can see the left hand side of this law, we say that we have 3 sets A, B and C. Whenever I take the union of A and B and whatever result I get, whenever I take its union with C, it will be same as whenever I take the union of B and C and the result union I take with A. So, both my LHS and RHS will be same. So, in order to prove this law, let us take the example of 3 sets. Now, suppose I have these 3 sets A, B and the third one is C. This is my A set, this is my B set, this is my C set. Now, what I do, I divide these sets into some regions. Now, I can see that my set A contains this region 1, this is my region 2, then this is my region 3, this is my region 4, this is region 5, 6, 7 and entire region outside these 3 sets is 8. Now, what I can do in order to prove this law, first let us take the left hand side. So, what is my set A? My set A comprises of what all regions? So, when I see my set A has 1, 2, 6 and 7. Same way, let's see what is my set B. My set B contains 2, 3, 5 and 7. And what is my set C? My set C will contain 6, 7, 5 and 4. we have simply divided the three sets in regions, and then we have found out that what all regions belong to which set. Now what we'll do, we'll try to find out that what will be the value of my LHS. So let's take the LHS first. So when I take the LHS, let us take the union of A and B. So A union B, what will it give me? When I'll take the union of A and B, first I'll get 1, then I'll get 2, then we have 3, then we have 5, then we have 6, and then we have 7. So this is my result of the union operation on the sets A and B. Now whatever we get in the result, let's take the union of this result with C. So now A union B union C. Now what will this give me? Let us take the union of this and this. So it will give me 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, 6 and 7. So I get this as the result of left hand side. Now let us solve it for the right hand side also. So first let us take B union C. So B union C will give me what? Let's see the sets B and C. So let us take the union of these two sets. So I'll get 2 over here. Then I will get 3. Then 4 also, 5 and 7. And even 6 will be there. So this is what I get as union of B and C. Now let us take the union of this result with the set A. So A union B union C. What I'll get? Let's see. I'll get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So what I can see clearly that my left hand side is same as my right hand side, and therefore I can say that my law of associativity holds. Now let us also consider the same law for the operation intersection. So for intersection, again we'll use the same method that we have Venn diagram, where we have divided the three sets into different regions, and now we will be taking out the value of the left hand side and compare it with the value of the right hand side. So let us first talk about the left hand side. So when we see the left hand side, first of all we'll have to take the intersection of A and B. So A intersection B will be, let's see this. What are the common elements? We have this 2, and then anything else? We have this 7. So I have 2 and 7 in my intersection. So A intersection B will give me 2 and 7. Now let us take the intersection with C. Intersection of this result with C. So I'll get A intersection B intersection C. So now what will be my result? Let us consider this with C. So 2 is not there, but 7 is there. So I'll get a 7 as intersection. So this is my LHS, and now let us do for the RHS part. So for RHS, first of all we'll have to take out B intersection C. So what will be the value of B intersection C? Let us see. B and C, and then I have this 7 also as common element. So I'll have 5 and 7 as common elements. Now I'll have to take the intersection of this result with A. So I'll get A intersection B intersection C. So now what will I get? Now A, I have 1, 2, 6 and 7, and here I have 5 and 7. So only 7 is the element which is common. So see, my LHS is same as RHS, and I can say that my associative law even holds for the intersection operation. So we have justified here and checked here that the associative law will hold for sets for both the operations union as well as intersection. Now coming to the next law, that is commutative law. So what does the commutative law says that? It says that if you have two sets A and B and you take the union of these two sets A union B, it is going to be the same if you change the order of the sets. That is, it will be same as B union A. So let us take this example. Now, suppose this is my Venn diagram, and here I have these two sets, A and B. Now, let us see that using this Venn diagram, if I want to represent the area in A union B, what will it be? It will be the combination of these two sets. That is, this region will be there. Same way, this is my LHS, and same way if I try to check it for RHS, I can again draw the Venn diagram. This is again my set A, this is my set B, and I want to find out B union A. Now, what region it is going to represent? Again, the same region, that is a combination of A and B. So, I can say that my RHS is same as my LHS. So, both are same. So, I can say that commutative law will hold for A union B is similar as B union A. Now, let us check for intersection. So, again for intersection, it says that if I calculate A intersection B, it is going to be the same as B intersection A. So, let us do it again with the help of the Venn diagram. First, draw the Venn diagram for the LHS. This is my universal set. Now, I have these two sets, A and B. What is my A intersection B? It is going to be the common elements which are there in A and B, and this is the region which actually represents my A intersection B. Now, let us draw the RHS. The RHS here says B intersection A. So, even if I check my B intersection A, it will give me the elements which are common in both A and B. So, it is going to be the same region which will be represented in B intersection A. So, I can say that my LHS is again equal to RHS, and therefore, the commutative law is going to hold for the intersection operation. So, here we have seen that the commutative law is valid for sets whether we talk about union operation or we talk about intersection operation. Next, we come to the distributive law. So, the first part of the distributive law, in which we are basically saying that if I am taking the operation union, A union B intersection C. So, I can distribute this union operation over these two sets, B and C. How? I can write it as A union B intersection A union C, and my LHS and RHS are both going to be equal. Same way in the second part, we are trying to distribute this intersection operation over B and C. So, we are saying that the left hand side will be same as A intersection B union A intersection C. So, let us check that whether these law hold for these two operations. So, first talking about 4A. We have three sets here, A, B and C. So, let us divide these in regions again. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and the outside region is 8. Now, let us write A has what all regions? 1, 2, 6 and 7. Then what is my B? My B contains 2, 3, 4 and 7. And then what is my C? C contains 6, 7, 4 and 5. So, these are my three sets. Now, first trying to prove the LHS of 4A, we'll first take out B intersection C. So, what is my B intersection C? I have to find out the common elements. So, the common elements are 4 and 7. Then I have to find out the union. So, this will give me 4 and 7 union with 1, 2, 6 and 7. So I will get 1, 2, 4, 6 and 7. This is going to be my LHS. Now let us check the RHS. First of all, let us find out A union B. So if I take out the union of these two, I will get 1, 2, 4, 6 and 7. 1, 2, 4, 6 and 7. Then let us find out A union C. So I will get 1, 2, 6, 7, 4, 5. 1, 2, let us write them in the same order. 1, 2, then we have 6, we have 7, we have 4 and we have 5. So this is my A union C. So now let us take the intersection of both these. This will give me my LHS. So when I'll take the intersection, I'll get 1, 2, 4, 6, 7. So now you can just compare these two. 1, 2, 4, 6, 7 and here also we are getting the same. That means my LHS is equal to RHS and my 4A is holding here for sets. Now let us take the next one, that is 4B. So for 4B, first of all we'll find out B union C. So when I take the union of B and C, I will get 1, 2, 4, 7, then 6 and 5. Now we have B union C. We will take the intersection of this with A. So when we will take the intersection, what we'll get? This will be my LHS. What will be that A intersection with this value? So when I take the intersection of A with this value, I get 1, 2, 6 and 7. So this is my LHS. Now let us find out the RHS. A intersection B. A intersection B will give me 1, 2 and 7. Then let us find out A intersection C. It will give me 6, 7. Now let us take the union of these two. So I'll get the RHS by taking the union. So my RHS will become 1, 2, 6 and 7. So you can compare it with the LHS. LHS and RHS are same. So we can say that even the distributive law is holding for the operation, that is intersection. Now coming to the next laws, which are known as the identity law. So the first part of the identity law says that suppose you have a set A and whenever you take its union with any null set, then you will get the same set A. Same way, the second part says that if you have a set A and you take its intersection with the universal set U, you will always get the set A itself. The next part says that you have a set A and you take its union with the universal set U, you will always get the universal set U. And whenever you have set A and you take its intersection with the null set phi, you will always get a null set or phi. So let us take some examples for this. Suppose I have a set A which contains these three elements and I have a null set. Null set basically means that there is nothing in this set. Now whenever you will take the union of A with this null set, that means you will combine the elements. So what will you get? You will always get A. That is 1, 2 and 3. So the first law says the same thing. Same way, if you have a set A and you have a universal set U which contains everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Suppose I have a total of these 6 elements under study. So this is my universal set. Whenever I'll take the intersection of A and U, I will get, you take the intersection of this A and universal set U. The common elements are 1, 2, 3, which is nothing but same as A. So this is my second law. The third law, whenever you will take the union of these two. Now take the union of this A and universal set U. What you will get? You will get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is same as universal set U. So this is the same thing which the law says. Now, whenever you will take this A and you will try to find out intersection with this null set phi. So what will you get? You will get the set phi because there is nothing in common. So you will get a null set over here. So this is the next part. So this is how the identity laws hold for sets. Now coming to the next law, which is known as involution law. So this involution law says that suppose you have a set A and you take its complement and again take its complement. So you will get the set A itself. So how? Let us see it with the help of a Venn diagram. Suppose you have this universal set U and you have the set A. Now when I say that A's complement, so A's complement means in everything which is outside A other than A. So it is going to give me this region. This is my A complement. Now let's try to take the complement of A's complement. So whenever I'll take the complement of A's complement, so whatever I have in my A complement, other than that I'll get everything. So what I'll get? I'll get everything other than the region shown in the first picture. So that means everything other than this outside part. So what is it? It is this set A. So what is it giving me? It is giving me the same set A, and this is what the involution law says, that whenever you will try to take the complement of complement for a set, you will get the same set. Now coming to the complement laws. The complement law says that suppose you have a set A and you have the complement of this set A as A complement and you take the union of these two sets A and A complement, you will get the universal set U. Same way, when you try to take the intersection of A and A's complement, you will get phi. Whenever you will try to take the complement of universal set, you will get a null set, and whenever you will try to take the complement of null, you will get everything that is the universal set. So let us once see this. This is my set A, and in the next picture I am showing you A's complement. So this is my A complement, this is my A, and whenever you will try to take the union of these two, that is this and this, you will get what? You will get the entire thing, that is your universal set. This is the first law. Then coming to the second part, I have this A, I have this A complement, and I try to take the intersection, that is the common region. So there is nothing common in them. So what I'll get? I'll get phi or null set. This is what my second part says. Now, I have this universal set U. Everything is there inside this. When I'll try to take the complement of this universal set, I'll get nothing. I'll get a phi or a null set. This is what my third law says. And the fourth one, whenever you have null and you try to take the complement of null, you will get everything, that is your universal set U. So these are what are known as complement laws, and these hold for sets. Now coming to the last law, which is known as the De Morgan's law. So De Morgan's law says that suppose you have two sets A and B and you try to take the union of these two sets and then the complement of these two sets. This is going to be the same as A complement intersection B complement. So what we are doing in this law, we are moving the complement inside and changing the sign. Same way for the second one, we have A intersection B's complement. We are taking the complement inside and changing the sign. So it becomes A complement union B complement. So in order to prove this, let us take the Venn diagram. Let us divide it into regions 1, 2 and 3 and the outside region is 4. Now let us do one thing. We'll take A union B. So what will be my A union B? A here is 1, 2 and B here is 2, 3. So when I'll take the union of these two, I'll get 1, 2, 3. And when I'll take the complement of this, what I'll get everything outside this, that is 4. This is my left hand side for the first one. Now let us check for the right hand side. Now if I talk about A's complement, now my A's complement is whatever is outside A, that is 3 and 4. Then my B's complement, everything outside B. So that is going to be 1 and 4. Now when I take the intersection of these two, what I get? I get a 4, which is the same as my LHS. So I can say that this law holds. Now let us take the other one, that is A intersection B intersection B complement. So A intersection B complement means, first let us take A intersection B. So A intersection B will give you 2. A intersection B will give me 2 and then I have to take the complement. So everything other than 2. So what will be the complement? Complement will be 1, 3, 4. The same way we'll do for A's complement. A's complement we again have 3 and 4. B's complement we have 1 and 4 and we have to take the union of these. So it will come out to be 1, 3 and 4. So this is my RHS, this is my LHS. Both are same. So what can I say? I can say that this law also holds. So these were the laws which are followed by the sets, and this is all for my lecture today. Thank you.